In 1990, I was making $5 an hour. I had to get an additional job to be able to afford to work at the shelter. And, so shelter workers weren't making a living wage at all, right? There wasn't a lot of formalized funding back then.
I worked for Sojourner Center as the executive director at the time. Working with survivors was probably one of the greatest honors I ever had. I found survivors to be extremely brave and resourceful.
Prior coming to ACESDV, I did direct services, and that for me is my passion. I enjoy having that role of getting in touch with Hispanic survivors. I have a compassion for them, and I can relate to what they're going through.
Becoming a dual coalition was huge. I mean, we'd had a sexual assault coalition that just wasn't able to stay afloat and stay congruent and relative. There was great sexual violence work going on around the state, but there wasn't a lot of formal support or funding for it. And in the shelters, we always knew we were working with sexual violence victims too, in addition to, domestic violence victims. But there really wasn't a lot of formalized approaches, interventions, services for sexual violence.
As I continued working at Sojourner and also working on behalf of the coalition, what I saw was a lot of additional camaraderie and working together of shelters and domestic violence advocates. So bringing those resources to the table really benefited us and our work.
The advocacy work that organizations like the Coalition has done over the years, we were able to get increased funding for the shelters so they could extend the emergency shelter stay to like 120 days. There are a lot more supportive housing and transitional housing programs from 6 months to 2 years. So it really provides that environment for folks to get ongoing support and case management and the services that they need.
There were a lot of changes in the law. For example, there were a lot of changes with the orders of protection. Women were able to hide their address while I was working in the field. Men who were battering and used their fist were charged with aggravated assault because they had a weapon, which had not been the case when I first started.
We still have a long way to go as far as positioning the state and the service providers to effectively address sexual violence, but we are leaps and bounds ahead of where we were.
Even all these years that, we've been working in this, and you can remember someone that you helped, I think that says more than anything else.
I think that there's been a lot of progress. I'm very excited about the progress that I've seen. I have seen some changes in people's attitudes.
One organization or one person cannot do it on their own. Like, we need everyone. We need a total community support to help survivors of domestic violence and sexual violence. We can't do it ourselves.
Helping our communities and our homes be safer, our workplaces be safer, our campuses be safer, the streets be safer, the military be safer. I mean, everybody has a role, and the opportunity to engage the whole community and all the systems in the community is huge. And we have an opportunity to do that. And I think that energy carries me through. I think it carries a lot of other people through too. It's just, knowing that you're positioned to make the world a better place, and there's nothing better than that.